Hey guys, in today's video, we're going to talk about how to rotate better and get more speed by pushing off your right side. All right guys, let's talk about rotating, pushing off your right side. So no doubt about the fact that when you watch elite level ball strikers, one of the commonalities that they all have is that they do rotate really well, and then two or B, they push off their right side. Now, pushing off your right side, there's a timing to it. You could push off your right side too early, you could do it too late. So I'm gonna go over what does pushing off your right side even mean? How do you do it? How can you use that to rotate better? What would you expect to see if you do it too early, too late, so on and so forth. So in terms of the rotation and the pushing off the right side, now we've talked at length in videos, and I will continue to talk at length in videos about the importance, if I were to just go up to the top of my backswing for a second, the importance of, from the top of my backswing, I'm looking to have my lower body and my pelvis rotating a lot without my arms and hands coming down super fast. Now, when we say things like leaving the arms and hands up or having the pelvis win the race, are your arms working down in reality in space? Of course they're not actually staying up. These are just feels, okay, relative to normal. Now where I'm going is, yes, okay, I want to rotate early, rotate, rotate. But at some point, okay, I need to push off of my right foot so that I can extend my legs, kick my pelvis forward, extend my spine into my follow through. Why do I want to do that? I need to continue the rotation and I need speed. If I were to make a golf swing and had no push off the ground whatsoever, that's not going to be very powerful. So where I really want to focus it on this video, and I'm going to give you some different drills and different things to do to add on to this. But what I want to do first is really focus in on the downswing part from about last parallel or kind of halfway down during your downswing into your finish position. So when we watch really good players, okay, there's not a ton of pushing off of the right foot until that spot. Meaning, from the top of their backswing into the early phases of their downswing, they're pushing kind of counterclockwise into the ground. If you can imagine, they're sort of pushing back this way to get a counter effect of the turn. But not until the late parts, about, pretty close to when their hips are, or hands are about hip high or when they're down the last parallel, that they start pushing more this way into the ground or pushing off the inside part of their right foot as they start to extend upward. Okay, that's sort of the idea here. So the goal would be, I go to the top of my backswing, I turn a bunch early, not pushing yet, and then by the time I'm getting down into the end part of my downswings, now I'm really pushing off the inside part of my foot into my follow through pieces. So I'm going to do a little demonstration of a little practice part from there, then we're going to go through some drills with this. That's just an understanding that I want you to have. And guys, always when I break down these parts, I'm talking about what you're doing when. I'm not suggesting that all of you feel all of these things at all these points and apply all this stuff. Most of this is just for knowledge, and then if this applies to you in your swing, then you can apply with some of the feels that we're going to go through. Okay, I just want you to understand these things. Here's how I would do this first. Again, my goal being, by the time I'm down here at last parallel, now I'm really gonna push off my right foot. I'm gonna make sure my right quad and my right hip are turning towards the target as I'm pushing off. My belt buckle is turning towards the target. And then by the time I get into this arms parallel to the ground position in the follow through, sort of a 9-to-3 sort of deal, which I like to do practice-wise. Our goal would be hips are perfectly square to the target, belt buckles at the target, and then shoulders are perfectly square. So if you could sort of preset here, you're pushing off your right foot, you're turning your quad, your kneecap, your right hip, your belt buckle to the target, and getting to the point that by the time your arms are parallel, you're fully square. That would be a tremendous drill, probably for just about everyone watching this, in terms of adding the rotation, adding the extension, and then also getting the hands forward enough to compress the golf ball. I'm going to do one here, just a little practice one, just to sort of feel this, these pieces. So I just feel little half ones, and I'm going to kind of work that into a little feel there. So there's me really feeling like I'm pushing off my right foot, kicking my hips towards my target, belt buckles closer to the target than my chest. Chest is up in the air, I'm fully square into the follow through, and that feels really good for me. The main thing here, right, is I'm shallowing my angle of attack into the ball. I'm adding speed pieces. This is the biggest part here, speed piece. If you got an open club face or some kind of, especially open club face before this, you got to address that before you would do any of this stuff. But same sort of things. I'm feeling here, pushing off. My right leg is turning, my right hip is turning, my right side is turning through into my full follow through position. I'm gonna just give that feel one more time. And that feels really, really good to me. Now you'll notice when I do it and I get into this position, I get the club up here and rehinged. Some of you, I would practice it to about here for the wrist conditions. So maybe not as much rehinge as me in the follow through, but the point being the same, fully turned towards the target, fully extended with the arms extended, and then up into that position. Now you can practice this with a bunch of other things and feels to get the same feels, right? So if we just did that part first, a couple things here, and I've seen this by a lot of people, so I'm not gonna reference anyone in particular, but I know Brian Manzella back in the day was one of the first people that I saw with this, where you'd put a stick in the ground to sort of get the same feel. It's just a different drill to do the same stuff. If I preset my body into that last parallel position, so I'm gonna just move back here, Mara, a little bit, I would grab this stick from here in that last parallel position. The stick's in the ground, right? So I need to feel like I'm pulling that stick up out of the ground and into my follow through pieces. I'm gonna do that by pushing off my right foot, rotating my right side, right? I'm not looking to do this. I'm not pulling it here with no rotation and all extension. This thing's in the ground, I'm pulling it and I'm turning. I'm pulling it and turning, pulling and turning, right? So one more time. This is in the ground, I'm pulling it, pushing off my right foot and turning into my follow through pieces. That's a huge speed production thing. Now the other piece that I would do, and I see people do, is they would take a bucket, right, or an object, and sort of use the analogy of throwing something in front of you over a wall or anything along those lines. If I were to take this bucket from back here and I were to try and throw this up over an object, I would do those same pieces. I would push off, turn my right side and extend into my follow through piece. I would challenge you guys to look at really good golfers and tell me and show me swings where guys don't look like this into their follow through position. The pushing off the right side, the rotating and extending all go together. So that's another piece. You could do the medicine ball type of deal into the wall, would be a good speed producer with that. Now what I like to do personally is combine a drill like this with a wrist condition drill. Now I've used the hanger in the past many times. I think we had it to my favorite compression drill where it's on the side like this and did it. What we have that does even a better job to me, in my opinion, is the Tour Striker. It's the wrist educator, and this thing just pops on the end. The beautiful part about this is you don't have to actually hold the hanger. So the issue with the hanger for me is that it sort of messes up the grip. It feels really weird for me when I hold it, and weird for some other people. The nice part is you have them, but we get this from the Tour Striker. It's not that expensive. It's a couple bucks, and this does the same thing. And notice I don't have to hold it with my grip. I find that probably like 90% of people I show the hanger to, or at least a good portion of them, don't do it forever because it feels too weird for them. This doesn't feel weird for me at all. Now, when I put this on, this top piece of the wrist educator serves the same function. Now, I haven't watched Martin Chuck's stuff in terms of how he uses it. I'm just gonna show you how I've used it since we have it. Okay, I like it a lot, that's how I do it. So I take my normal setup and I'll have that wrist educator. I can move it, right? I can move this to wherever I want, which is super cool. For me, I like to have it where it's just sort of neutral right up the shaft. And then my goal is by the time I'm down at last parallel, I'll have that thing, it'll go from neutral to on my left wrist. You can see that that's pressed against my left wrist there like that, if my wrist conditions are good. So now I can combine this and do wrist conditions here along with my pushing off my right side and combine those two pieces together, which is, you know, that's probably 80 to 90% of the drills that we're gonna do here is wrist conditions with rotation. So we're gonna go ahead and do one with that. So this is on the front, and I'm trying to feel that against my wrist. I'm sort of cranking that against my wrist as I push off my right side, turn my right hip, and go into my follow through. I'm gonna say that about 100 more times because I hope that that sticks here. So here we go. Same little feels, pushing off my right. That stick's going against my hand. Here we go. Yeah, and that felt awesome into the follow through. So that would be one thing that I would do here with the wrist educator. If I wasn't using that, another thing that I'll use a lot, and I didn't put that on all the way or else it stays on better, is we'll use a little chipsticks from Callaway. So I put this on the end of the club. And I tell you these things because I legitimately want you guys to be getting these training aids. I do these videos and I show you things, and I can't give you all in-person lessons and you don't know exactly how to feel what I'm saying. So literally these things cost like a couple, I don't know, 20, maybe 20, 30, 40 bucks they are. They're not super expensive, and you can retain the feels that I'm telling you. If you're gonna spend the time to practice, put these pieces in so you have feedback so you know. Now, the wrist educator is more for the wrist conditions, and I'm sure there's a lot more ways to use that I'll look into as we move forward, but that's just how I do it. The chipsticks is more for handle location and rotation. So you guys have all seen the old stick on the side of the club, don't hit yourself in the side. That's what this is, but again, you can pop this chipsticks on the edge, it just pops on the side of the club and you don't have to hold the sticks, doesn't feel as weird. So I would be trying to do these same things here and not whip myself in the side into the follow through. This would be more of getting rid of the flip sort of motion. But again, these pieces all go along. I've never seen someone flip a club who has a good club face alignment, who has a good pivot motion, right? These things go together. So here would be the same thing. I haven't done this one in a while, so we'll see if I can execute okay. Chipsticks on the side, same feels. Yeah, good. So that to me feels like I have to hold on a little bit more than normal, but still provides a really solid compression feel for me relative to normal. So those would be the drills that I would go along with this. The alignment rod in the ground behind me, I would use a bucket or an object throwing over the wall, and then I would potentially combine some form of wrist condition with it. The point here being, you push off of your right foot during the late phases of your downswing. You don't want to push off your right foot initially from the top of the backswing. Might some of you feel from here that you're pushing off right away and turning and that helps you? Sure. Is that what you're actually doing? Probably not. But if that produces a feel that works for you, then who cares? That's fine, you can use that. In a literal sense, you really want to feel it during the late phases. If you hit these follow-through spots, it's a lot harder to not hit good golf shots. So you can reverse engineer a lot of those pieces. So hope that makes sense. Reference any of the best players in the world, look at their swings and watch them in the bottom phases. Use some of those drills. Obviously, you guys have any questions about that, as always, let me know. Hey guys, thank you for watching the video. If you guys like this, please do me a favor and click the like button down below. Click the notification bell if you haven't already, and please subscribe if you haven't. Thank you.